Hey there, welcome to your deep dive. Today we're going to be talking all about building smarter networks.
Not just bigger ones, right?
Exactly. And to help us out, we've got a stack of insights from Harvard Business Review.
Yeah, they've got some really interesting articles on everything from like career luck,
Oh yeah, and networking events?
even how to brag well.
Okay, so how to brag without being annoying.
Exactly how to do it strategically.
Okay, I like that.
Make it work for you.
Yeah, I think what's so cool about this is it's not like your typical networking advice.
No, not at all.
It's really about like the why behind the what.
Yeah, going deeper.
So you can actually connect authentically.
Yeah, and build a network that really helps you reach your goals.
Okay, so one of the first articles dives right into this idea of the 6 types of connections that top performers cultivate.
6.
I know, right? When I first saw that, I was like, 6, really? Isn't that a bit much?
I thought the same thing.
But the way they break it down is actually fascinating.
Yeah, it's not about like having this massive, unwieldy network. It's more about being really strategic,
Okay.
about the kind of network you're building.
So you're saying it's about quality over quantity.
Exactly. They talk about these 6 key areas. For example, connections for new ideas,
Okay.
for influence,
Makes sense?
for getting personal support, even for work-life balance.
Okay, so it's not just about your career, it's also about like your well-being your whole life.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that a diverse network is essential,
Okay.
not just a large one.
So it's about having different types of people in your network.
Right. And they illustrate this with the story of Deb.
Deb.
Yeah, she's this executive who landed her dream job
Oh, wow.
thanks to a connection she made over a decade ago.
A decade ago.
I know, it's amazing.
Talk about playing the long game.
Right. It really highlights how important it is to cultivate genuine relationships
Yeah,
because you never know how they might pay off down the line.
you're totally right. It could be years later and something comes up.
Exactly. And her story is a fantastic example of how a network that both supports and challenges you.
Okay, so you need people who are going to like push you a little bit.
Yeah, you need those connections who will give you a different perspective
Okay,
and push you outside your comfort zone.
I like that.
They're the ones who can help you see possibilities that you might not have even considered.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So this next article is something I think a lot of people can relate to.
Oh, yeah.
It's about moving beyond that dreaded what do you do question at networking events.
Ugh, I hate that question.
I know, it's so awkward.
It's like you're stuck in this loop of just superficial small talk.
Totally, and you just end up feeling like
a robot.
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the article offers a refreshing alternative.
Oh, good.
Instead of defaulting to talking about work,
Yeah.
they suggest like 8 alternative questions you can ask
Okay.
to spark more genuine conversations.
I like that because really networking should be about forging relationships.
Right, not just collecting business cards.
Exactly.
I love that. One question that really stood out to me was, what do you do for fun?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's such a simple question, but it can reveal so much more about a person.
Then their job title, for sure.
Exactly, because you get to see what they're passionate about outside of work.
Yeah, and it's a great way to uncover like shared interests,
Right.
and passions.
And that can help you build rapport so much faster.
Totally, and it leads to more authentic connections.
Okay, this next article is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's all about the science of serendipity.
The science of serendipity.
Yeah, they argue that luck isn't entirely random.
Wait, what?
I know, right? It kind of blew my mind, too.
So you're saying we can actually like influence our luck?
Well, they say there are things we can do to increase our chances of encountering those lucky opportunities.
Okay, how?
They call them serendipity bombs.
Serendipity bombs. What are those?
They're basically like intentional actions that can lead to those chance encounters,
Okay.
that can open doors you didn't even know existed.
So you're setting yourself up for those lucky breaks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For instance, they suggest planting knowledge bombs in conversations.
Knowledge bombs.
Yeah, it's basically like sharing a unique piece of information or insight
Okay.
that's related to the other person's interests.
So it's not just making small talk. You're actually like giving them something valuable.
Yeah, you're making yourself memorable and sparking further conversation.
So you're not forcing anything, but you're creating those opportunities
Right.
for those chance encounters and connections that could lead to something amazing.
Exactly. And, the idea of networking can be intimidating,
Oh, yeah. Don't you
especially for introverts.
Yeah.
Like the thought of working a room full of strangers.
Makes me want to hide.
Right. So what does the research say about networking for those of us who prefer deeper connections over those surface-level chit-chats.
Well, it turns out you don't have to be a social butterfly
Thank goodness.
to be a successful networker.
Okay.
The key is to find strategies that feel authentic and comfortable for you.
Like reaching out to people you haven't spoken to in a while.
Exactly. They call it reconnecting as networking.
Oh, I like that.
Rekindling those dormant ties can be surprisingly fruitful.
Especially when you're job searching.
Yeah, because those individuals often have new perspectives and experiences to share.
That's true.
And because you already have that established connection,
Right.
they may be more willing to help.
So we've talked about mentors, but this next article delves into something a little different. Sponsors.
Sponsors.
Yeah, I know everyone talks about mentors, but what exactly makes someone sponsor-worthy?
Right. What do they do that's different?
Yeah.
A sponsor isn't just someone who offers advice.
Okay.
They actually advocate for you within their organization.
So they're like your champion.
Exactly. They open doors to new opportunities, and they really champion your career advancement.
Okay.
It's a much more active role.
That makes sense. And it's not just about working hard or being likable.
Right. It's not just about personality.
There are specific things you can do to become someone people want to champion.
Exactly.
And one of the key factors is adding distinct value to your sponsor's work, right?
Absolutely. You have to understand their goals
Right.
and find ways to contribute to their success.
So it's a two-way street.
Absolutely. You're not just a yes person.
Right.
You're a strategic partner bringing something unique to the table.
Okay. This next one is crucial in today's globalized world. Networking across cultures.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Because what works in one place might totally backfire in another.
For sure.
So I'm curious, what are some of the common pitfalls people fall into when networking across cultures?
Well, the biggest issue is often a lack of awareness
Right.
of how cultural norms can significantly impact networking styles
Right.
and perceptions.
Well, absolutely.
What might be seen as assertive in one culture could be perceived as aggressive
Okay.
or disrespectful in another.
That's a good point.
For example, the level of directness that's considered appropriate can vary widely.
Oh, absolutely. I remember this one time when
Yeah, it can be a real recipe for disaster.
if you're not careful,
Exactly.
you really have to be mindful of those differences and adapt your approach accordingly.
Definitely. And, researching cultural norms beforehand can be a lifesaver.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah, and pay attention to those nonverbal cues. You can learn a lot just by observing how people interact.
That's a great point. So much of communication is nonverbal.
It really is.
Speaking of learning, this next article resonated with me. All this connecting can be exhausting.
Oh, yeah. Networking burnout is real.
It's like they read my mind because they offer some advice for avoiding it.
Okay, so how do we stay energized?
Well, one of the key takeaways is figuring out your optimal level of social interaction.
Okay, so you don't have to be a networking machine.
Exactly. You don't have to force yourself to be an extrovert.
Right.
It's about finding that balance that works for you and focusing on building those genuine, mutually beneficial relationships.
Right, and that might mean being more selective about the events you attend, prioritizing quality over quantity,
I like that.
and learning to say no gracefully.
Oh, I need to hear those. I'm terrible at saying no.
Well, that article even dives into specific strategies
Oh, good.
for gracefully declining requests without burning bridges.
Okay, so give me an example.
Yeah.
What if someone asks for like a 30-minute call and you're swamped?
Well, instead of just saying no, you could offer to answer a few specific questions via email.
Oh, that's good.
Or if someone asks you to speak at an event and you're not available on the proposed date,
Right.
you could suggest a different time frame or recommend another speaker who might be a good fit.
That's so helpful. It's all about finding a way to be helpful and respectful, even when you can't fulfill the initial request.
Exactly.
Now, all this is great for building a network,
Yeah.
but how do you actually maintain those connections over time?
That's the key,
Now,
right?
it's not like you just collect contacts and then never talk to them again.
No, it's an ongoing process.
So how do you keep those relationships alive?
Well, one of the simplest but most effective strategies is to show genuine interest in the other person's life and career.
Okay.
Stay in touch, offer support, celebrate their successes.
So it's really about being a good friend.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about keeping score or expecting something in return.
Right.
It's about being there for people and genuinely caring about their journey.
Speaking of journeys, let's talk about informational interviews. I used to be terrified of those.
Oh, yeah, those can be nerve-wracking.
But this article totally changed my perspective.
How so?
They framed it as investigative journalism, which I found really empowering.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like you're on a mission to uncover the truth about a specific industry or role.
That's a brilliant way to approach it.
Right. It takes the pressure off of feeling like you're asking for something.
Yeah.
Instead, you're going in with a clear purpose and insightful questions.
To uncover the reality of a specific field or role.
Exactly. And they even provide a framework of 5 key questions.
Oh, nice.
They're not just generic questions either.
Yeah. Okay, what kind of questions?
They're designed to help you uncover the pros and cons, the challenges,
Right.
and the types of people who thrive in that environment.
So you can see if it's actually a good fit for you.
Exactly.
It's about being prepared and knowing what you want to get out of the conversation.
Right. You're not there to grill the person,
Of course not.
but you do want to probe beyond the surface level and get to the heart of what it's really like to work in that field.
Okay, so we've talked about informational interviews, but what about reaching out to recruiters?
Oh, that's a good one because I feel like they're inundated with requests.
They are.
How do you even get their attention?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's true that recruiters are busy, so you need to stand out from the crowd.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Well, one of the biggest mistakes people make is sending generic requests for help.
Okay.
Recruiters are looking for specific skills and experience.
Right.
So you need to tailor your approach accordingly.
So before you even hit send on that email, make sure your LinkedIn profile and resume are up to date.
Absolutely.
And you've done your research on the specific role and company.
Exactly. And when you do reach out, highlight your applicable skills and experience using keywords from the job description.
So they know you've actually read it,
Right. And emphasize the value you can bring to the role and company.
not just what you want from them.
Exactly. Remember, it's a two-way street.
Now, this next article really challenged my thinking about the whole "it's not what you know, it's who you know" mentality.
Oh, yeah. What'd they say about that?
Well, they argued that it's not just about having connections.
Okay.
It's about having the right connections.
Ah, that's an important distinction.
Right. And they highlight the power of what they call weak ties.
Weak ties.
Yeah. These are the connections who are not part of your inner circle,
Okay.
but offer access to a wider range of information and opportunities.
So it's like those people you might only see occasionally
Yeah.
or interact with online?
Right. But they can be a goldmine of insights and connections.
Right. That's interesting.
The article also mentions dormant ties, which we talked about earlier.
Right. Those people you've lost touch with.
Yeah. But it's amazing how often those connections can reignite.
And lead to unexpected opportunities.
Exactly.
It's about rekindling those relationships and seeing where they might lead.
You never know what doors might open when you reconnect with someone from your past.
That's so true.
We've talked about the importance of a diverse network, but this next article dives into how to actually build one.
Okay, I'm all ears.
And it emphasizes the need to step outside of your comfort zone
Oh, here we go.
and intentionally connect with people who are different from you.
So get uncomfortable.
Yeah, they actually call it getting uncomfortable.
I like that.
And they suggest exploring new experiences, joining groups or organizations outside your usual circles,
Okay.
and engaging in conversations about topics outside your expertise.
So branching out.
Exactly. It's about challenging your assumptions and gaining insights from people with diverse backgrounds and viewpoints.
Right. It's about expanding your world.
And your understanding of the world around you.
I love that.
Okay, we've talked about building a network, but what about making yourself sponsor-worthy?
Yeah. What are those specific qualities that sponsors look for in someone they want to champion?
Well, a sponsor is someone who sees your potential and is willing to invest in your growth.
Okay.
And it's not just about being a hard worker.
Right.
It's about strategically positioning yourself as someone who adds distinct value to the organization.
So thinking beyond your immediate responsibilities.
Exactly. And being proactive in seeking out opportunities to make a broader impact.
So don't be afraid to showcase your accomplishments.
Right.
And let potential sponsors know about the value you bring to the table.
It's not about bragging.
Now,
It's about letting your work speak for itself.
this next article might speak to those of us juggling work and family life.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about how working parents can maintain their networks.
Without losing their minds.
Right, without feeling like they're spreading themselves too thin.
That's a good one because finding that balance between work, family, and personal life can be challenging.
It really can.
And networking often falls by the wayside.
So what are some tips?
Well, one of the strategies that stood out to me was the focus on reconnecting as networking.
So instead of always trying to meet new people,
Yeah.
prioritize rekindling those dormant ties you already have.
It's a much less time-consuming way to stay connected.
And it can lead to surprisingly valuable insights and opportunities.
Right, because you already have a foundation.
Exactly.
So it's about building on that existing connection.
The article also suggests leveraging your weaker ties by asking for introductions.
Oh, that's smart.
It's a great way to expand your reach and tap into new circles.
Without having to attend a ton of events or spend hours on social media.
Right, it's about working smarter, not harder.
I like that.
And it's about recognizing that your network is a valuable resource
Yeah.
that can help you achieve your goals both personally and professionally.
Now, this next article is really eye-opening. We talked about networking across cultures earlier,
Right.
but this one explores the unique challenges faced by professionals from underrepresented backgrounds.
Oh, that's an important topic.
It highlights 3 key paradoxes.
Paradoxes.
Yeah, that these individuals often navigate.
Yeah, okay. Like what?
Well, the authenticity paradox is about feeling pressured to code switch
Right.
and downplay aspects of their identity to fit in.
That's tough.
And then there's the proximity paradox,
Okay.
which emphasizes the struggle to connect with people in positions of power who may not share their background or experiences.
Right, because those are often the people who can really open doors for you,
Exactly. And then there's the sponsorship paradox,
which is...
which highlights the difficulty in finding sponsors who can champion their advancement.
Yeah, especially when those sponsors may come from a different cultural background.
Right. It can be hard to find that common ground.
These are incredibly important issues to be aware of.
Yeah. And the article offers some valuable strategies for navigating these complexities.
Like what?
Well, one of the suggestions is to build what they call an expansive network.
Suspensive network. Okay.
It's about including individuals from diverse backgrounds and levels of seniority.
So building a really broad network.
Yeah, creating a wider support system and providing access to a broader range of resources and opportunities.
I like that it's about recognizing that a truly inclusive network benefits everyone involved.
Totally.
It fosters innovation, creativity, and a more supportive and equitable work environment.
Wow, that's a lot to think about. So we've covered a lot of ground on networking strategies and the psychology behind it all.
We have.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that there are times when you're just not feeling it.
Oh, yeah.
You know those moments when you're burnt out and the thought of networking feels like a chore?
Totally. Networking burnout is real.
So what do you do when you're feeling that way?
Well, it's crucial to have strategies in place to manage it.
Okay, like what?
One of the things that resonated with me was the idea of figuring out your optimal level of social interaction.
So not forcing yourself to be an extrovert.
Exactly. It's about finding a balance that feels sustainable and energizing.
Okay.
And it's okay to say no to requests that drain your energy or don't align with your goals.
That's a good reminder.
You don't have to be everything to everyone.
And remember, networking doesn't have to be confined to formal events.
Oh, right.
Sometimes the most valuable connections happen organically
Through
shared interests or hobbies.
Oh, absolutely. Don't underestimate the power of joining a book club, volunteering, or even taking a class.
Right.
These activities can provide opportunities for authentic connections and often lead to unexpected professional opportunities.
It's about connecting with people who share your passions,
Exactly.
which can make it feel much more natural and enjoyable.
Way less forced.
It's about building relationships, not just collecting contacts.
Couldn't agree more.
Speaking of which, any final thoughts on how to make sure we're building a network that truly supports us and helps us achieve our goals?
I think the key takeaway is to be intentional and authentic.
So don't try to be someone you're not.
Exactly. And don't approach networking with a transactional mindset.
It's about building genuine connections, being helpful and supportive, and remembering that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Well said.
And don't be afraid to reach out to those dormant ties.
Yeah. Dust off those contacts.
You never know what might come from rekindling those connections.
Exactly.
This has been an amazing deep dive into the world of networking. I feel like I have a whole new toolbox of strategies
Me too.
and a fresh perspective on how to build meaningful connections.
Absolutely.
What about you? What stood out to you from all this?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that networking is about so much more than just getting a job.
It's about.
It's about building relationships that enrich your life and your career.
I love that it's about connection, support, and growth.
Ex-
And it's about being open to new possibilities and unexpected opportunities.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
You know, it's funny because I used to think of networking as this
This like,
necessary evil,
oh yeah.
like something you just had to do to get ahead.
hmm
But after all this, I don't know, I'm seeing it in a whole new light.
Yeah, it's definitely not about schmoozing or just collecting business cards.
Right.
It's about human connection,
And
building relationships that are mutually beneficial.
when you approach it with that mindset, it becomes so much more,
Enjoyable.
and rewarding.
For sure.
One thing that really stuck with me was that emphasis on
on being.
Genuinely interested in others.
Yeah.
It's not about what you can get from someone.
Right?
It's about what you can offer.
Exactly. It's about approaching every interaction with curiosity, a desire to learn and connect.
That's where the magic happens.
Right.
You never know where a conversation might lead or what doors might open.
You just got to be open to it.
When you connect with someone authentically.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
So I think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
It's not about forcing anything.
Right.
It's about being open to new possibilities and the power of human connection.
Well said.
And remember, building a strong network is an investment in your future.
It is.
Something that will continue to pay dividends throughout your career.
And beyond.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into smarter networking.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you found it valuable and are excited to put these insights into action.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep learning, keep connecting, and keep diving deep.
See ya.